As a college or university student, do you know what are the best strategies for getting your assigned reading done strategically? And like many students, you likely have other obligations outside of your university coursework that leave you with little opportunity to get your assigned readings. Maybe you have a job or a family to take care of, or maybe you play university sports. And this might be your first time taking, let's say, a history course where you have textbook chapters and academic journal articles assigned for you to read. Or let's say this is your first time taking a history or ethnic studies graduate course, I should say, and you're shocked to find that you're expected to read a book per week per class for a graduate course. And you're freaking out because you're not used to having to read so much for your classes, either because you're coming straight from out of high school, or maybe it's your first graduate course.
They're trying to murder me.
So what strategies can you use to get through the reading? In this video, I want to talk to you all about the strategies that most of your professors do not tell you about, even though these are the same strategies that they use themselves, whether they want to admit it or not. The truth is, for those of us in the humanities and social sciences, we the professors, instructors, or teachers, we do not generally expect you all, the students, to complete the readings word for word, except maybe if you're in the STEM disciplines where assigned reading is much more concise and requires in-depth reading. So here I want to briefly discuss Skim reading strategies that you can follow to help you get through the assigned reading strategically. Following these strategies can help you get the reading done efficiently, even when the stressors of life obligations do not allow you the time to do an in-depth word-for-word reading. And many of these strategies come from Karen Rosenberg's book chapter titled Reading Games, Strategies for Reading Scholarly Sources. And by the way, a shout out to Dr. Rosenberg at the University of Washington, Bothell. Dr. Rosenberg, if you're watching this, I assign your chapter to all my history courses. And if you're a friend or acquaintance of Dr. Rosenberg, please give her my thanks. I will post a link to that reading in the description below. A special shout out also to Vilma Vieja from the Chicano Studies Department at Cal State Northridge, who introduced me to this reading when I served as her TA, or better yet, as her AI. So tip number 1. For starters, pay attention to the title of your assigned reading. It will signal what the reading you are doing is about in the first place. And as Dr. Rosenberg says on page 215, quote, let's say I know that an assigned journal article will be about the role of music in the Russian Revolution. Let's say the title is Like the Beating of My Heart, a discourse analysis of Muscovite musicians' letters during the Russian Revolution. This tells me not only the subject matter of the article, something about letters Russian musicians wrote during the revolution, but it also tells me something about the methodology or the way that the author approaches the subject matter. I might not know exactly what the discourse analysis is, but I can guess that you can do it to letters and that I should pay particular attention to it when the author mentions it in the article. Also pay attention to the headings and subheadings, because the headings and subheadings can signal what the major subtopics and methods are in your reading. Tip number 2, consider reading the full introduction. The introduction section of a book chapter or article usually lays out the entire reading. It will tell you the who, what, where, why, and sometimes how components. It will tell you the thesis, the author's methods, their primary sources, their secondary sources, sometimes I should say their secondary sources. And sometimes all of the information in an introduction and conclusion are found in an abstract. However, please note that not all of your academic peer-reviewed journal articles or book chapters will come with abstracts. So if you have the privilege of being assigned readings that come with abstracts, take advantage of them. Just like the introduction component of an article, the abstract contains the who, what, where, when, and why components of your reading. Tip number 3, identify the thesis statement or thesis statements. The thesis statement is the central argument being made in the reading, and sometimes you will come across complex readings where there's a 3-sentence or 1 paragraph long thesis statement. Regardless of how long or how convoluted the thesis statement is, make sure to identify it. Also, make sure to identify its sub-arguments. Sub-arguments can refer to additional arguments that are not always necessarily the central focus of the reading. Tip number 4, highlight, circle, and make note of key terms that emerge in the reading. Identifying key terms are more obvious in textbooks, but not so much in journal articles where you don't have important names and phrases emboldened. And so what would be considered key terms? Recurring names of important people, places, events, concepts, and themes that emerge throughout the reading. Tip number 5, if you are pressed for time, Read every body paragraph's first and last sentences. If you have a little more time, consider the first 2 sentences and last 2 sentences of each body paragraph. You should only read the whole paragraph if you do not understand the points of the first and last sentences. The first sentence, last sentence approach, by the way, it works especially in assigned readings where you notice that the author is constantly repeating the points that they're making. And this is also a good approach for readings where the author presents multiple case studies or examples to prove their central point. Tip number 6, speaking of being pressed for time, consider timing yourself and practice strict discipline while you time yourself. In graduate school, I would set my phone or physical timer to 15 or 20 minutes. And during those 15 and 20 minutes, I focused strictly on skim reading. And I did not allow myself to go on Facebook. I would not allow myself to answer my phone, even if it was ringing, would not grab a snack. And in extreme cases, sometimes I did not even allow myself to go to the bathroom until that time was up. When that time is up, use it to take a 5 to 10 minute break. Stand up and stretch, maybe do a brief exercise, and maybe reward yourself by going on Instagram or TikTok. The other day, a student of mine mentioned how she would reward herself with a snack in between breaks. And so by creating a system of rewards and incentives when you're reading, this can help motivate your brain to get the reading done. But once those 5 or 10 minutes are up, get back to work. Also, think about how you want to distribute the time you have to read. Maybe in some cases, you only have 2 hours to do the reading because of your work schedule, family obligations, or other obligations that got in the way of your study time. In cases like these, back when I was in graduate school, I would tell myself no more than 30 minutes to finish the introduction, 1 hour for the body paragraphs, and 30 minutes for the conclusion. Whatever I didn't get to read in those time limits that I set for myself, too bad, because I need to go to bed or I have a long day ahead of me tomorrow. And surprisingly, even after setting those time limits up for myself, I was still able to get a gist of what the reading was about. And I was even able to participate in class discussions. So, sí se puede. The challenge here is discipline and also making sure that there are no distractions. Tip number 7, always read the full conclusion section. The conclusion will usually summarize the author's findings and conclusions. And similar to the introduction, the conclusion will restate the argument, except the conclusion section will often provide a summary of the content that is found in the body paragraphs. In contrast, the introduction does not provide an in-depth summary of the content that is found in the body paragraphs. The introduction mostly tells you about the theoretical framework, the methods, the sources, and the arguments. So read the full conclusion, but skim read the conclusion if it's very long, convoluted, or a wordy conclusion. Tip number 8, throughout your reading, make sure that you are taking notes or making small annotations or markings on the margins of your reading. As Rosenburg says in the article, sometimes our mind might trail off as we're reading, and you'll forget what you were reading about in the first place. Making those annotations will keep you on track with your reading. You can make annotations on a separate sheet of paper, directly on a physical copy of your reading, or even on a separate Microsoft Word document or on OneNote. For PDF articles, I personally like to use the annotation tools that are found on Adobe Reader. And if you read PDFs on an iPad or another portable electronic document viewer, I highly suggest using the annotation tools that are provided by your devices. So that's it. In brief, those are my top 8 skim reading tips, which are inspired by Karen Rosenberg's Reading Games chapter. Thank you for tuning in and happy reading.